Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really fascinating set of sources today. They force us to look at resource management, well, through a pretty unusual lens.
Definitely unusual. We're digging into the economics, believe it or not, of a never-ending scarf.
Exactly. The source material comes from excerpts of The Magical Growing Scarf of Sharing. And yeah, the subject is this cozy red and gold striped scarf, you know, knitted by grandma.
But the core theme, that's pure economic theory, really. Uncontrolled growth, resource allocation, it's all in there.
Right. So our mission here is to unpack what happens when a valuable personal resource, this lovely soft scarf, starts experiencing this. Well, magical, uncontrollable growth.
It flips the script, doesn't it? Usually, economics is about scarcity defining value.
But here, abundance is the crisis.
Precisely. You start with perfect initial conditions, a warm, thoughtful gift. But that perfection, it lasts maybe a few moments.
And then you hit the paradox immediately. A resource that's so valuable, so abundant, it becomes, well, kind of useless.
Or worse than useless.
The hook is right there at the start. The character Ellie, she wraps the scarf around her neck, and boom!
It's already grown an extra foot, just like that.
Yeah. So the crisis isn't lack, it's scale. Overwhelming scale. Okay, let's get into this immediate resource overflow.
Well, if you track the timeline of the scarf's expansion, the shift from, a nice personal item to this huge burden is incredibly fast.
It reminds you of that economic principle, right? Diminishing marginal utility.
Absolutely. The first few feet, great. Warmth, comfort, high utility.
But the utility of the, say, the 100th foot or the 200th.
It drops off a cliff. It pretty much approaches zero, maybe even negative utility, because now Ellie has this massive, unwieldy thing she has to manage.
So the value for its original purpose, keeping her warm, just tanks the more she gets of it.
Exponentially, yeah.
So she goes from having this perfect gift to, well, something that takes up her time, her effort, and probably causes a lot of frustration just managing its existence.
Right. When does it really start getting in the way?
Well, the source says by lunchtime at school, it's already causing problems, like physical infrastructure problems.
It's stretched down the school hallway.
Yeah, literally obstructing movement. And you see the external costs right there. Kids were tripping over it.
Okay, but the source does add a little detail there.
Oh yeah, they were giggling while tripping.
All right. So even in the chaos, there's this odd, positive externality happening. A bit of social benefit, you could say.
A nuance worth noting, for sure. But the scale just keeps increasing.
By recess, it's exploded.
Yeah.
The scarf is apparently wound around the playground slide 3 times.
And that's kind of where the community starts to take it over, isn't it? It gets dubbed the scarf slide of fun.
It stops being just Ellie's problem. It's becoming a sort of public good or maybe a public nuisance, depending on your view.
And her friend Max.
Yeah.
He uses a piece as a jump rope.
Yeah, spontaneous repurposing. It's happening organically without any planning.
And this rapid shift, it brings up that central question for Ellie, and I guess for us too. What's the actual value of something when its sheer scale makes it useless for what it was made for?
Exactly. And Ellie actually says it, right? What am I supposed to do with a never-ending scarf? You can feel the frustration, the psychological weight of all that abundance.
That's the heart of it. A resource is only valuable if you can actually use it effectively. Like infinite cloud storage is great, but if you can't find your files...
Is it still useful? Right. The scarf starts representing clutter, stress, not warmth.
It's a pretty powerful analogy, actually. For data, maybe computation, certain natural resources even, we spend so much time planning for scarcity.
But what happens when supply just completely overwhelms your ability to manage it?
She couldn't really wait for an answer, though. The scarf just keeps growing, right? Through math class, past the cafeteria.
It breaks containment. It's not just a schoolyard thing anymore. It's heading out into the town square.
So how does the wider environment, the ecosystem, react to this enormous, basically unowned resource showing up?
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting from a resource perspective. It shifts rapidly from being sort of Ellie's private property, even if unwanted,
to becoming a common pool resource.
Exactly. It's valuable, potentially, but its nature, huge, accessible, completely unmanaged, means anyone or anything can tap into it.
So not managed, but definitely used. The environmental impact, the source calls it. It turns the scarf into this kind of impromptu infrastructure for wildlife.
Yeah, and the source gives these great little examples. The squirrels. They start using it as a bridge between trees. A vital transport link, apparently.
Oh, okay. And raccoons?
Using it like hammocks. Specialized woven hammocks.
And birds, too.
Yep, tugging at the fringes, using the fibers for their nests. It's like this spontaneous, localized economic boom, all fueled by this one overflowing resource.
It's creating social and environmental capital just materializing out of this scarf.
And the community, human and animal, finds all this utility right where Ellie, the owner, just saw a headache. Which, often happens with underutilized large-scale things. Utility pops up in unexpected places.
It almost sounds like a weirdly positive version of the tragedy of the commons. Like a common resource being used for benefit, but still totally chaotic.
Well, yeah, because it is chaotic. That spontaneous use isn't really sustainable. Someone needs to figure out the management side.
And that's the turning point, right? The intervention comes from the original source.
From Grandma, yeah. She gives Ellie the crucial insight. It shifts the whole way Ellie and we think about ownership and what to do.
What was the line? It was simple but powerful.
Grandma says, maybe it's not just your scarf. Maybe it's meant to be shared.
Ah, right. And just like that, it reframes the whole problem. The issue isn't the size. It's the assumption of purely individual ownership and burden.
Especially for something that's basically limitless. If you have an infinite resource, maybe your responsibility shifts, from consumption to distribution.
It turns that anxiety Ellie felt into something else entirely. Maybe the joy of distributing.
The resource has inherent value, but its true worth, its potential, is unlocked through community sharing and eventually management.
And Ellie gets it. She acts on it immediately, turns that idea into practice.
The source details it nicely. She takes this decisive action, spreads the scarf across the park.
Wrapping it around kids, animals, even the town statue.
Yeah, even the cold statue. It's not just random sharing. It's like a planned distribution aimed at maximizing the collective good, the collective warmth.
She's taking it from that chaotic common pool state.
And making it a managed public good, at least for that moment. It's the application of the knowledge Grandma gave her, transforming her personal burden into collective joy.
And the outcome described is, well, it's immediate, isn't it? Tangible social benefit.
Yeah, the scarf kept everyone warm, cozy, and the source makes a point of saying they were laughing together.
That communal value, the warmth, sure, but also the shared experience, the laughter, the social cohesion. It seems like it massively outweighed any value Ellie could have gotten alone.
I think the lesson there, maybe for anyone managing big systems, big data sets, even big teams, is that once a resource hits a certain scale, monumental scale, its best use is nearly always collective, not just for one person.
Okay, so let's try and distill this. If we take this scarf story as a metaphor, what are the explicit takeaways the source gives us for you listening? When you encounter abundance or unexpected scale in your own work or life?
The source is pretty direct. It gives two main lessons, moving beyond just resource management into something more sociological.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, sometimes the things we're given aren't just for us, they're meant to be shared, which directly tackles that ownership question when supply feels limitless.
Right. Responsibility shifts.
Yeah.
And the second point?
It connects back to that feeling, that emotional return. Sharing warmth, kindness, joy, that makes everyone feel included. The shared resource isn't just about the physical stuff, the wool.
It's distributing social cohesion, belonging.
Exactly. And you can even connect the scarf's physical growth to that philosophical point. The story suggests the best gifts, the ones we share, they kind of grow bigger in benefit because we give them away. Sharing expands the utility, you could say.
That's a powerful way to put it. And the final piece in the source material, it shows this wasn't just a one-off solution. They figured out how to make it sustainable.
Yeah, they institutionalized it. The town now celebrates Great Scarf Day every fall.
Which represents a managed cyclical utility. They don't have to deal with this infinitely growing nightmare all year round.
Right. The scarf magically, or however, grows just enough on that one day each year to wrap around everyone in town.
So that implies they found a way to perfectly match the supply, the growth, with the actual demand, the warmth needed for the whole community on that day. It's like the perfect controlled resolution to the initial crisis of uncontrolled growth.
It definitely shifts the strategy from just reacting to the growth to proactive shared planning. They accepted the scarf's nature it grows, but they channeled it.
Turned it into a focused community event, a tradition, not a burden.
Makes the resource predictable and beneficial on their terms.
So, recapping this whole thing, we started with a personal gift, became a crisis of scale. And the deep dive really shows the solution wasn't about cutting it back or trying to control it individually.
No, it was about fundamentally rethinking its purpose. Real value was unlocked through public utility, through planned sharing.
Turning that personal burden into a perpetual community asset.
It's quite a striking model, actually, especially now when we deal with things like information or data that can feel limitless, at least to some.
Which brings us to that final thought. You mentioned the managed growth for Great Scarf Day.
Right. So connecting this back, the source's conclusion about the scarf growing just enough for that day, it leaves you with a provocative question to consider. Well, if the scarf grew just enough to meet the community's needs, does that suggest that abundance only really becomes a sustainable, maybe even joyful gift when its growth is perfectly matched, or at least carefully managed, to the actual needs of the community it serves?
Ensuring no wasteful surplus, no destructive scarcity, just enough.
Just enough. Does perfect management turn potential chaos into pure benefit?
Definitely something to think about, especially if you feel like you're drowning in scarf or data or anything else. Food for thought until next time. Thanks for diving deep with us.